right, so what I have here is an outline process from a rough drawing of a drunk kitty cat who's been drinking wine, and I went through one outline process over the rough. I'm using Procreate on my iPad, and after finishing that first outline, and it didn't really seem right the next day. I even shared it on my social medias, and I feel like I needed an update, so I went ahead and did a second draft where I kind of fixed up the pose a little bit and changed the gestures, the hand gestures, and changed, just changed the outline completely, almost completely, before going into color. So that's what you see here. This is the outline process, and I want to make sure that that looked good before proceeding with the color work. Next, I have the color work. I'm gonna just drop in the colors as you see here. I'm using Procreate, and the choices of colors is just kind of random. What colors have I not used for a while on the cat character? I illustrate cats once in a while, and I kind of switched up the colors here and there, and usually the color that I go with will determine the colors of all the other things around it, backgrounds and objects, if in case the character is carrying objects. But there's no real there's no profound color choices here. I just kind of switch up the colors here and there. Next, I have the tones, and so what I have here is I'm just gonna put tones in areas where the light is not, putting direct lights on parts of the illustration here. So I'm gonna make it so that the light is coming from right above everything. So things that are, bottom portions of the surface areas in the illustration are going to be shadowed. So that's typically how lighting works. I know it's a difficult thing for a lot of artists or some people who are just learning how to do this stuff. The logic behind, or the physics behind, how light works. So that's what you see here. I'm toning out the parts that are not receiving direct light from above. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of play around with some of the brushes or tools, or brush tools that are in Procreate, and I believe it's like a sponge texture. So it's kind of like I'm basically putting texture on the tones. So I'm using the brushes for that. Before this I explored with several options, and there's one that kind of gives it a sponge effect. I can't remember what it's called. It's in Procreate. It's one of the main ones. It's one of the default brushes that are in there. But before this, I went around and I played around with different brushes just to see what looked good, and I thought this was the best. I wanted to give this a children's storybook style illustration. So I went with this brush. I thought it was the best choice for this. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm softening up the tones using the texture brushes, or brush, a texture brush that's in Procreate. Last but not least, I have everything else, and that will include the background and any special lighting effects in the background that kind of reinforce the reason for the toning and the highlights in the illustration. So everything else is just basically the final touches, any background effects and colors, and final color backdrops, and all that stuff that you see me doing here now. So here's how it all just comes together before I sign off on it, and you know, this is where you begin to see the final results of the whole thing. So I hope you're liking the process so far. I hope you like the way it's turning out. This was definitely fun to put together. So yeah, so you can see if you look at my YouTube, I posted some YouTube shorts of the outlining process that I talked about, and you can see how those came together there. And this is basically just a quick summary of the whole of the whole process. So hope you like it, and thanks for watching. And until next time, take care and have a great day. And thanks for watching once again.